Okay, we are live here on Sunday now at Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. Mike Church Show here on the Crusade Radio Network, simulcasting, streaming live to Earth via our YouTube, Rumble, X.com, CrusadeChannel.com, radio network. And it is hot in here. I'm going to start this interview off today with acknowledging that it is warm. It's warm outside and it's a little warm in here. Well, we are joined by Leo ZACKY, who is running for the governor of the great state of California. You know, if you were elected, so who was the last Republican elected? I guess it was Schwarzenegger. Technically it was Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but I really wouldn't say he did a great job or was a great Republican.
Well, he sounded a good game. You know, he probably reached his high water mark for republicanism when he gave that speech at the RNC for George Bush in 2004. I was talking about it yesterday. He said, when I came to this country, I saw all of these people. Then I saw Hubert Humphrey, and he sounded like he was talking about socialism. And then I saw Nixon, and he was talking about getting the government off your back. He was very up in the girly man speech. You remember that? There's a bunch of economic girly man.
Yeah.
So that was probably his high water mark. And then before that, I guess it was Pete Wilson, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or
Wilson got recalled, didn't he?
No, I don't remember. I mean, that was when I was really young.
You were young.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in 91, so.
Okay, all right. So I think it was Pete Wilson. I believe that they recalled Pete Wilson. This guy probably knows. Christian probably knows. They recalled Pete Wilson, and that's how Schwarzenegger became governor.
No, they recalled, what's his name?
Or was it Pete Wilson?
Gray Davis.
Gray Davis. So, in any event, you're going to run. Now, when is Gruesome Newsom or Gavin Newsomabad, when is his term up?
Well, the day I get inaugurated, I think, is January 2nd, 2027.
Okay, so then he has 1 year left.
Essentially, yeah.
Is governor in California term limited?
Yes, it is now.
Okay.
That's why Jerry Brown came back and did 2 more.
Okay, so Newsom can't do another term?
No, but that's why he's aiming for the White House now.
Okay, all right. So are there any Republicans that are announced other than you, Leo?
Oh, there's probably 11 other Republicans. It's always a big race.
Right.
I mean, in 22, there was 48 candidates.
So tell our listeners out there, and because I'm very interested in this, how is a Republican in the state of California going to beat the ballot harvesting law? Because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How are you going to beat that?
Well, it is a big issue. The thing is that things are so bad in California right now that we actually have an opportunity to win because there's a lot of disillusioned Democrats that it doesn't matter what they say on television. They're getting in their car every day and they're seeing homeless people all over the streets. They're getting their tax bill. They're not keeping their money. The gas prices are going up. I mean, they're shutting down refineries. They're estimating it could be as high as $8 a gallon in California.
Wow.
So people are feeling the hurt. I mean, the education's in the gutter. I mean, look what just happened in the Palisades in Altadena. And this is my backyard. I'm in Los Angeles. We just got 23,000 acres of new Republicans.
Oh, well, did you see? I'm sure you did. There was the legislature's already proposing $100 million in Section 8 housing in Malibu. I'm going, you can't put Section 8 housing in Malibu.
Well, I mean, Malibu was still on fire, and Gavin Newsom's doing his little dance like, I just talked to Josh Green, and they're already talking about rezoning from R1 to R3, which is the dense housing, the multifamily housing.
Multifamily housing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's something that does that fall to the state or is that the county?
Well, I mean, he definitely has a lot of influence on that. So, and the county board's also pretty left.
So the county could do it without the state, I guess, is my question. The R3, or does the state do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the county does, but they think they work side by side with Gavin. That's his plan. They want to do the 15-minute cities, and it's all about control.
So then what people were saying, the conspiracy theorists, usual suspects, came out the woodwork while the Palisades were still burning with this is a land grab.
It was.
Fires were intentional. The water not being in the reservoir was intentional. This is a land grab. I think President Trump pretty much said the same thing when he went out there. Like, how can you not have water in a reservoir? By definition, it's not a reservoir if it doesn't have water in it, and it had no water. How can this be? looked pretty intentional to me.
Yeah, and I think it was. I mean, we're seeing possibilities that it was an fire. I mean, most wildfires in California are actually arsonists. So
Right.
95% of them are actually arson started. They always use climate change because they love to preach that, but no, it's actually arson. And we saw this in Lahaina too with the fires there. It's been a land grab, the way they're withholding the insurance money from the people there in Maui and just basically choking them out into forcing them in a position where they would have to sell. And that's kind of what's happening now. But you also have the Coastal Commission in California too, which is not expediting the permit process for people to rebuild. So there's a lot of factors at play.
So what will Leo ZACKY do as governor that would make you stand out from any other Republican candidate?
Well, the common sense solutions that I bring forward, and it's how we take the issues that are impacting everybody and we can turn them into revenue generators with water, with getting the homeless off the street and actually back into society, opening up the oil, using it, refining it, and making money that way, cleaning our forests, having a lumber industry that brings us in revenue and gets rid of the bark beetle and saves us money on the balance sheet from preventing the wildfires, actually having a proper modern firefighting unit with CAL FIRE, turning that into a revenue creator by mitigating the wildfires and then having them go to other states, because anytime they send us, you see those DC-10s and dropping the FOSS check, those aren't ours. And the other states and other countries that send them, it's not out of the kindness of their heart. There's a fee attached to that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which sounds like you know the commonplace issue or the common sense issues, and that may be because you come from a farming background.
Yeah, well, as a farmer, we like simple solutions.
Well, farmers also know how to solve problems. People think, you just go till the land and you plant the crop and then you harvest it. No, you're constantly dealing with curveballs.
Oh, yeah, and we were dealing with live animals because we were raising chickens and turkeys, so it's a whole nother ballgame.
So, all right, stick with the forest subject, because it's also one that President Trump, when he first went out there in like 2018, he chastised whoever was the governor then, and he was like, "This is happening because you guys aren't allowing the management of your forest."
Well, it was still Gavin Newsom.
Okay, it was Newsom back then, and he was going like, "How come right north of here in British Columbia, same tender, no fires because they manage the forest, and he's not managing the forest. It's illegal. This is illegal. This is not a nature event. This is a human event," is what he said.
Well, yeah, and as I mentioned before, 95% of the wildfires in California are arsonists started. I mean, there was a big swath of wildfires that were taking place, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and the news kept going, climate change. They were literally, they arrested some wacko professor from a university who was starting fires in Central California. There are literal eco-terrorists that go and do this. They start the fires because they want to push the cold narrative that, it's the cars, it's the carbon dioxide that's killing us. It's not that.
No, it's not. Let's start from the point of view that California is once home to great governors and great men, Ronald Wilson Reagan. And when he was actually a governor, Earl Warren was a good governor until he got unleashed on the Supreme Court. And as we know, the rest, as they say, is history. But Warren, Reagan, Nixon, you had great.
Duke Majan.
Yes, you had great governors. Almost always a Republican state until Governor Moonbeam comes along.
Yep.
And now it looks as though the complexity of California has changed. Is that all based or due to immigration, or has something else changed?
Well, I mean, obviously immigration plays a part, and we don't have voter ID in California. In fact, it's actually illegal to ask for ID when you go to the polls.
You changed this, right?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. I'm going to need a Secretary of State to help me make sure that happens.
Right.
But, yeah, it's between that, the gerrymandering, and then obviously the woke propaganda that's coming out. And then, look how this TDS social contagion has infected the nation.
So let's talk about the prospective opponent. It's already being said that I call her the Shape, because that's what they called Michael Myers in the script for the movie Halloween, was called the Shape. This woman is if that thing is human, if that creature is actually a human,
I think she's hyena.
It is a demonically possessed creature. But here we go again. She's never actually held a real job in her entire life. Neither has Gavin Newsom. California would then be basically asking its citizenry to elect for the third, for the third consecutive term, someone who has no experience whatsoever in running a business or ever solving an actual problem, and Kamala the Shape Harris.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about her as a candidate. I mean, look, the whole nation got to see her fall on her face, just be a bumbling, cackling buffoon. She did a horrible job as Attorney General in California. And even look at Mayor Bass, same sort of situation. Identity politics, has never really done anything in her life, fell on her face. So Californians are waking up to the maybe this, identity politics thing isn't the way to go.
Didn't LA elect a Republican DA recently? Or
well, I wouldn't call
that's the county.
Well,
or?
No, I wouldn't call him a Republican. So Nathan Hochman is who you're talking about.
But he's actually prosecuting crimes.
Well, yes,
okay.
That's actually happening. But yeah, no, he was I think he was a Democrat, and then he ran as a Republican for Attorney General, and that fell through. And then he changed to an independent and ran as District Attorney for Los Angeles.
Okay. So, but he is actually prosecuting crimes, so that's at least an improvement.
Well, yeah, compared to what we had with Gascon, who was a George Soros plant.
Yes. And so you mentioned Karen Bass. I call her Commie Karen Bass. You know this woman's a Castro sympathizer.
Oh, she back in like the 80s, there was like some like real actual insurrection. Like, wasn't it like a bomb or something that they had?
Well, that wasn't her group, but she's visited Cuba. She's like gone on pilgrimages with one of those groups of Castro sympathizers. If you watch the way she's trying to run LA, it's obvious that it's from a leftist Marxist perspective here, and that the last thing that matters are actual people.
Yeah, and she's also an idiot. I mean, but she's telling she's telling the ICE agents to go home and those.
Yes.
Look. And that's when she shows up. That's when she decides to come down to MacArthur Park. That place is riddled with drug addicts and homeless. And now the feds are here and they're doing because they're racist, of course. Now she has to show up and send them home. Now you leave your office? Really?
Well, Africa didn't want her, I guess, because she ultimately had to leave her vacation or whatever it was that she was doing.
Well, no, because she was going to look even worse than she already did. It was just to save some semblance of face when she left.
Okay,
Donna?
so Leo Zackey running for California governor. Give us, our viewers, just a little bit of a timeline. How is this going to play out for primaries, et cetera, et cetera?
So June 2nd is the primary, but it's California, so we'll have over a month of voting, and then they'll have 36 days to count the ballots, unless hopefully things do change. And then after that, you'll have the top two vote getters, because it's a jungle primary. So it could be two Democrats, it could be two Republicans, it could be two Satanists. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. They'll move on to the general election, and then that'll take place in November. And winner takes all.
I thought, and I genuinely thought this. I thought that Steve Garvey actually had a shot, and I watched I watched part of one of the debates. And I thought that Garvey was up to the task, because Schiff is he's another one. If there's an actual human soul inside that creature, whatever that is.
But that's the thing. You can run anybody against a demon, they're going to look like a god.
Yeah, well, there you go. Wait, so you didn't like Garvey as a candidate?
The whole thing was like, I was a Dodger. Look, I'm sure his heart was in the right place.
I was a Dodger.
I mean, that's kind of what they were running on. I mean, he didn't really come out and do anything with his campaign till like September, October. It wasn't done the right way, and the CAGOP really lets down the Republicans.
So talk about that for a moment. It sounds to me like the California GOP needs a Michael Whatley.
Yeah, actually, we need somebody who actually wants to win. They've made this a great success on being perpetual losers in California. I mean, in the recall, for example, they didn't give any funding to any candidate. They didn't do any voter.
You're talking about Newsom's recall.
Yeah, in 21.
Okay.
They didn't do anything to inform voters on how to vote. I mean, unfortunately, people didn't even. The way that sometimes they write the ballots, it can be confusing, and so people didn't know that they had to. It's like, yes, I want to recall Gavin Newsom. And then pick a candidate, and anybody could have won. Like if it was the vote was split so evenly in that, you could have literally won with 3% of the vote.
3% of the vote.
Well, in the recall.
The recall. Okay. So June of next year. Do we know any of the other? I don't know that outside of who's the guy that's running True Social for Trump? Nunes. Devin Nunes is a Californian.
Oh yeah.
I don't. Are there any other popular Republicans that you will have to face off against? Do you know?
I mean, I wouldn't call them popular.
Okay. How about mildly famous?
Sure. Yeah. I guess there's maybe a mildly famous one.
Okay. And have you already started fundraising?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also doing this out of my own pocket as well.
Okay.
So I have skin in the game.
So, well, you are, your company, your family's company, ZACKY Farms, famous on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened in 2019?
Well, we had to tap out.
Okay.
We just got destroyed over decades of poor leadership in California. Because we were vertically integrated. California gave us success because it was business friendly, ag friendly, fair taxes, not insane regulation. That all changed over the last couple decades, and I mean, in 2016, the minimum wage went up 50%, went from $10 to $15 an hour.
That's right.
Obama passed the ethanol mandate. Corn went up 450%. That's what we feed our chickens predominantly. Minimum utility price hikes, insurance price hikes. I mean, all these fixed costs that are things that you don't normally expect to go up in business did, and we're playing on a global market. You know, we're selling hot dogs to China. We're selling poultry to Canada and to Mexico, and so when you lose your margins, you lose your ability to be competitive. So it's cheaper for folks to produce in Louisiana and Georgia and truck it all from. Yeah, but it's cheaper to do it there and then put it in a truck all the way to California.
And send it all the way to California. So what can Governor ZACKY do with it? You almost have to have the legislature go along with you, correct?
Well,
they have to undo some of what they did because Newsom didn't do all of this by himself.
Correct, yes, but executive order has a lot of power. And
does it?
It does, but also the emergency powers has a lot of authority.
And he's been using them for like 7 years, right?
Using the crap out of it. And look, I don't agree with it, but look, it's a tool. I'd like to use it where we can to implement the solutions that I have, and then phase it out because it's in the way it's being abused, that is.
Okay, so let me talk to you then about something that's a pet peeve of mine, and I know you're going to know a lot about, and that's water management and water in California. I started being an anti-environmentalist wacko in 1988. I discovered the Greens, Malthusian lunatics that hate humans, and I have been an opponent ever since, going all the way back to Al Gore and the ozone hole. So I studied this topic before I even got into broadcasting in 1992. So let me tell you what happened in California, and I want to know can Governor ZACKY reverse this? We have detonated bombs. Newsom has detonated bombs and destroyed five hydroelectric power generating
on the
structures
Klamath River.
On the river, supposedly to save some stupid fish, but they destroyed 5 dams, and the result of that was the fish population did not change,
right,
but the water is now deprived,
right,
and then you have a shortage of electricity. What can Governor ZACKY do? Because you have water.
Oh no, we have tons of it, but we're dumping it to the sea. They're not.
So Trump's right about that.
Oh no, that's 100% happening.
Right.
The Klamath River thing was about bringing the native salmon population back for the 300 indigenous people that lived, I guess, off the Klamath River.
Right.
I think it was 4 dams that they destroyed up there.
Was it 4? Okay.
I think it was 4.
I might have been a little zealous.
No, that's okay. But that's the whole thing is that they wanted to set a precedent, saying, "Oh, look, we did this in California. We've already done it before. We can do it elsewhere." And it's also the Sacramento River smelt. That's the other thing. And they can't find it in the wild, and they're actually raising it in captivity, which is a great idea at UC Davis, and then they're releasing it into the San Francisco estuary. And so that's what they're doing to keep that population alive, but they dump the water to keep the temperature at the levels where it's, I guess, suitable for that, but they can't find them. And what we're not doing is recharging our aquifers. We're not building any new water storage, which we haven't done in 50 years. We've been approved for 50 desalination plants, but the Coastal Commission and other woke environmentalist activist groups are blocking them from being activated. And then when you're shutting down nuclear power plants, we don't have the energy to actually run those, and so I want to use small modular nuclear reactors. I want to get people to work, especially the homeless population that ties into this.
Right.
If you gave 10,000 people a shovel, they could dig a pretty big hole pretty quickly, pour some concrete, congratulations, it's a reservoir, rinse and repeat. So you do this, you capture the snowpack at the high elevations, you capture the rainfall, use desal, dam up our concreted rivers that we have in our major metropolitan areas, build purification plants. That's how you build a robust amount of water storage. And then you can export, once you create the abundance, you can then export the water without having to build any infrastructure to pump it out, because we get the lion's share of the Colorado River share. And then we share that with Mexico and Arizona and Nevada and Utah and Colorado. Auction it off for a profit. Why not? Bring revenue in that way. So it's about diversifying the portfolio as well. So with that water abundance, you have cheap water. The farmers have access to it because they're being choked out right now. They only get 1.65 cubic feet per acre. And it's not enough because it takes 2.25 cubic feet per acre for citrus and 4.5 cubic feet per acre for almonds. And we're the world's leading producer of almonds.
This I know. And you have people that could join you in this that actually now have skin in the game. And I wonder, how long can Jennifer Garner continue to run her apple orchard with the amount of water that she's receiving? And I know that she's a Canadian and she wants to be a liberal, but does she want to be in the apple farming business or not? Because she needs water, and she's not the only one that needs the water.
Oh yeah, I mean even poultry is a water-intensive industry.
Right.
Obviously the birds need it to live, but also when you go through the processing component, we did water chill because it was the most sanitizing way to bring, because you pull all the guts out of the bird. There's fecal matter. It cleans it out.
Okay.
So it's a cleaner, safer product for people. But when you have this abundance of water too, then farmers don't have to rely on poisons like glyphosate and other herbicides and pesticides to save the small amount of crops that they can only grow. And so many small farmers that have like 200 acres, 500 acres, they have to cut back on the crops they have. And it's not like a light switch, you turn it on, turn it off. These trees take years to mature. So they cut back and they get to the point where they're unable to produce to where they can make a profit. And then after 5, 6, 7 generations, they sell. And guess who comes in and buys it? Bill Gates or China.
Right. Leo Zackky, running for California governor. You're far too smart. You're far too practical farming. I have actually built things. I know how things actually work. Smart. To be the governor of a great state like California. I say that facetiously because most of the political class are absolutely clueless.
Yeah.
You're not clueless. And California needs a Trump. You need a problem solver. The place is messed up, man. Government has destroyed, it seems to me almost intentionally. You need someone that's going to go in there like a Trump. It's going to I know why that's broken. You got to, now we're signing the executive order. We got to do this. Got to get the water back to the... You need, the state of California needs someone like a Donald Trump. You sound to me like the kind of guy.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, man-made...
I'm being serious about that, too. You need somebody with practical solutions. They're going to go no, I know how many gallons per, or for whatever, then you would actually be able to, well, no, that formula is incorrect. Actually, what the formula is. You know how things work, is the point.
Yeah, but the thing is they're also man-made problems.
Okay.
And man-made problems require man-made solutions. Just because it's government regulated, well, guess what? Government's ran by man.
Right.
So it's just a stroke of the pen. I mean, the pen is mightier than the sword.
Is there any hope? Okay. Is there any hope then for the California legislature? And it will pain me to say this, but it was Republican when they became the first state to go pro-abort, and Reagan was told, no, it's going to result in less abortion. They actually lied to him and told him fewer abortions if you made it legal, which is why he said he signed the bill. Is there any hope to restore sanity to the government of California, or are there just too many crazies that just control too much?
Well, when you filling the legislature with Republicans?
Well, or even just sane Democrats.
Well, I think you're going to see a really good group of a fresh crop of young Republicans or just young conservatives even, that are fed up with this. And there's a whole bunch of them that are starting to show up that are going to run for these assembly seats. And I'm really excited to help promote them as well, because I'm going to need good people in legislature to work with.
So it's 57 electoral votes. Do I have that right?
53 or 54.
Okay, so that's 51 congressional districts. I'm old enough to remember a time when 27 or 28 of them were Republican.
Yeah, I mean, that did happen. It's been a supermajority since the mid-70s.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is I want to actually build a real relationship with everybody that's in the legislature, because right now we're just pointing fingers and name calling, and it's not working.
Right.
You're a Republican, you're a racist, you're a Democrat, you're an idiot. Okay. It's not working. I want to sit down, and I think the best way to get to know someone is over a meal, and so I want to break bread with these folks and get to understand what makes them tick. Why do they operate and think the way they do? And so that way I can have a better understanding of who they are, and that way I can have a better approach when it comes to pitching these ideas. And then, I mean, obviously some of them will be completely whacked, but that's okay. You just expose them.
So, assuming that you've already started campaigning in California, what's been the reception?
Well, people look at me and they're like, oh, he's really young, I don't know. And then they listen to me for about 5 minutes and like, you're the guy. And I'm like, yes. Don't judge a book by its cover. You know, I might be 34, but, you know, I'm about to be 34. But I've done a lot. And I'm not an idiot. And I care. And that's the other thing. That's the one thing people do recognize is this isn't something that I'm doing because, I want to be famous and all this. I don't need this job, okay? I can live my life very well anywhere in the world. I don't need this. I need to do this for the people of California. I need to do this because I love this country, and we have to lead by example. And I'm not making a career out of this. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to go back to my life, okay? I want to start a family. Right now I'm in a position, a very unique position. I have the means to do this. I don't have anything else to dedicate my time to, like a family yet, and I will one day. So I can 100% pour my life into this and do the right thing by the people and for the people. And after that, hopefully things are going to be the way we need it to be so I can enjoy life. And I don't want my friends moving out of state.
No, you mentioned something that's very important, and most people won't know this watching at home. But go back and do a Lycos or a Wayback Engine search and you can find this out. California led the United States in nuclear power. The first nuclear power plants that came online, or among the first, were in California. And it was and everyone agreed at the time that this was a great thing. You didn't have to burn kerosene. You didn't have to get coal out of the ground. You use the nuclear rods to basically. And I try to explain it because I'm on a mission too, Leo, to help people understand. When you think nuclear power, you're thinking this China syndrome, that wretched movie screwed everything up. You're thinking this all wrong. The only use for the uranium is to get a reaction out of it. Just think of it as a giant gas burner underneath a pot of water. Now, all it's doing is making enough heat to boil water.
Right, to generate the steam to spin the turbine. I mean, think about it. Think about all the guys that are in the Navy. Okay, all those
completely safe.
All those ships are nuclear reactors. They're not coming back glowing. They're not growing an appendage somewhere. Okay, I was actually talking to a nuclear engineer that served in the Navy last night, believe it or not. It's so safe. There's all this lead shielding. There's primary shielding. There's secondary shielding, tertiary shielding, and you can do this with small modular nuclear reactors.
Trump is talking about that. He signed the executive order to make it legal.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of small modular nuclear reactors. You build a robust infrastructure that you don't then, like, if one goes down, there's others to supplement that power, and then with that excess power, you can sell it for profit. It becomes cheap. Affordability increases in California for living and for businesses, but also that's the energy we're going to need to have desalination to purify the water for us to drink in the metropolitan area.
Way too smart. Way too smart. Okay, I'm going to put a Leo ZACKY for governor on my sign on my yard in Louisiana.
Yeah,
I'm going to campaign for you in Louisiana. Send me a sign. I'll put it
done.
Up. Okay. Everybody likes the idea. So I want to share a story with you, and then I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
When I was in 10th grade, introductory physical science, I had a great teacher. He was a guy, and he had been teaching for like 25 years, and his name was Donald Mr. Traub. And he gave us our introductory physical science project. We had to all do a project to end the semester. And I asked him, because I was a science nerd, and I said, Mr. Traub, what do you think I should do? And he goes, Mike, you are really interested in the atom. He goes, you're really interested in the elemental table. Why don't you do a report on nuclear power? And I said, okay, Mr. Traub. And I set about studying. And I went and got the encyclopedia. This is where I learned about the reactors in California and how they work. And so I actually interviewed my 10th grade IPS teacher, and he gave me a quote. I wrote the paper. I got an A+ on it, and I have been a science nerd ever since. And I'm on a mission like you to educate people about why we should all have nuclear power. So that's my personal story, and that's how I know about California's nuclear reactors. You guys were leading the world. The French followed the Californians. Now, my question is, Brian Wilson recently died, the Beach Boy. The California that Brian Wilson sang so wonderfully about is gone. Can Leo ZACKY as governor help restore California was a magical place for me when I was a kid, Leo. Who didn't want to go to California?
Yeah, I mean, and now it's like when I go around.
Now it's like hold your crucifix up.
No. When I go around the country and I tell people I'm from California, they're like, "Oh."
Exactly. But when I was a little boy, it's like, really?
Yeah.
You're from California?
Oh my God, it's so amazing! Like I want to go there. I mean, that's what it was, and absolutely we can bring that back. We absolutely can. Look, we've got a lot of issues, but as I mentioned earlier, they're man-made problems, and it just takes competent leadership. California has it all, except competent leadership and people that want to do the right thing for the people. This isn't a game, okay? You're talking about people's lives and livelihoods. People are suffering. They're struggling. We have a third of the nation's homeless in California.
Right.
Okay? We have the highest cost of living. We have the highest funded, yet worst education system in the country. It really just takes the simple solutions and someone who's motivated to do the right thing for the people. And that's exactly what I'm here to do. This isn't a long-term game. It's get in, make it livable, and go back to my life and start a family.
And I'll follow this up, but we'll do another interview. But I want to ask you about my friend Stephen Greenhut wrote a book in 2010 called Bankrupt or something. What can be done about cow pens and cow pairs? You're borrowing like $500 million a year from the feds to make cow pens and cow pairs solvent. It's not solvent. The retirement system, they're completely bankrupt.
Yeah, the pensions, we're actually over $1 trillion in debt.
It's $1 trillion. Okay, yeah. I shorted it a little.
No. So the state debt is actually it's over $3.5 trillion. So it's about 10% of the national debt.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and that doesn't represent the national. But that's just California's debt is over $3.5 trillion. And look, we're overpromising a lot of things, but we made promises to people, and I intend to follow through with them.
You have to keep those promises.
Of course, otherwise people lose faith.
Right.
So you can't do that. But what I've talked about earlier is how you create these additional revenue streams. So when we're selling the excess water, once we create the abundance, we're able to sell the power. Then we are able to actually extract the oil in California and create over 100,000 jobs, and bring over $80 billion a year in revenue. You know, those are the things that we're going to be able to do. The logging industry, all these things are resources that we're not utilizing that will bring the additional money into California that we can pay down the debt with, that we can make sure the people's pensions are paid. Then, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to cover people the way that they've been because it's unsustainable at the moment. But we can lower taxes, incentivize businesses. It brings in more revenue, more experts from the food that are coming in. I mean, they're all interconnected and they're all compounding benefits. But we have to actually execute on it. And I'm a business guy.
I know you are. Okay, audience at home, go to leozacky.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
leozacky.com. And now do an extra credit for me. If you're a Californian, I want you to educate yourself. Look up Catalina Island oil spill. This is what shuts the California oil industry down, and it was an industry. And California, I mean, right there off your coast, dude, you got the largest untapped supply of crude oil on an ocean bed in the world. Sitting right there.
Yeah, and it's barely touched. And you know what? There's fake buildings in Los Angeles. No, seriously. No,
I believe you.
No, there's fake building facades all scattered through Los Angeles. And they're oil rigs. I mean, Beverly Hills High School had oil rigs.
That's right. You know what? I did. I knew that from George Webb. That's how I knew that. The independent journalist George Webb told me that. He goes, there's buildings in Los Angeles. And I said, well, what about him? He goes, there's like oil derricks inside of there.
Yeah. No, even the Beverly Center, for example. That's an active oil field right there. They're pumping out oil on the backside of it. And I did a whole video about this actually recently on my Instagram. At Leo S. ZACKY, if you want to go and see that.
Okay.
But yeah.
So you're aware. Folks.
I'm a fourth generation Californian.
Dude. Hey, Leo ZACKY for governor. Hey, everybody, give it up. Good luck, man. Let's stay in touch. I really am very excited to have met you.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. Folks, I'm going to send you guys back to the studio now. We'll continue here. Mike Church Show live on the Crusade Radio Network at TPUSA Student Action Summit.
so tired.